All right, so from now on, anything that we say could be posted on the internet. I mean, nobody's going to find my channel because you guys are the only one um, watching the videos. I'm not trying to be a YouTuber here. If I was, I would fail miserably. I wanted us to talk a little bit about the Chapter 6 walkthrough because I know that was a really challenging project. Would y'all say that it was challenging?
Yes.
Yes.
A little bit, yeah.
So there were a couple of reasons that I did it this way, and it's not just the obvious, like, this is what I want you to learn. It was also because there's some other skills that I want us to look at building. And these are important skills for a software developer to have or a programmer to have. So look at these skills and kind of tell me, like, find one that you think this project helped you with and why. Or one that you think that you need more help in, okay? So Brett, I'm gonna start with you. Which one do you think this project helped you with the most?
Probably debugging.
Debugging? Um,
Just because there was a lot of stuff in it that you had to figure out, and you had to, work at it and see what was wrong.
awesome. All right, Braden, what do you think? Was there a skill that you feel like you helped develop during this project?
I think attention to detail, because that kind of helped me a bit.
Good. There was a lot of detail. There were lots of components where you had to, really focus and pay attention to what you were doing. Hey, Trey, I just saw that you joined in. I'm going to put this on YouTube, so don't put your face on unless you want to be on YouTube, okay? So we're just looking at these skills that hopefully we gained or helped to build in the Chapter 6 walkthrough. Haley, what do you think?
Attention to detail, debugging, and patience.
So you're the first one to mention patience. So talk about your struggles with that a little bit.
I just get frustrated too easily, and then I just want to start working on it.
Yeah,
that's my problem.
That is definitely a struggle for coding and problem solving. Period. Sometimes you just want to throw your hands up and give up, but you didn't, did you? You kept going.
No. Mm-hmm.
Quentin, what do you think about the Chapter 6 walkthrough? Are any of these skills something?
Debugging and self-reliance. Mainly debugging. Oh, never mind. Self-reliance, because I usually ask for your help and I feel like I'm cheating all the time. So I guess I had to rely on myself, my own knowledge to help myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, Trey, I don't think you've quite gotten to this part yet. Natalie, what do you think?
I would agree with Haley and say patience. Like I get into a rhythm and it's smooth and I do the work. And then once I get to a point where I'm checking it and doing my console, I see like, oh, there are mistakes. And then I have to debug, but I get very frustrated with that because it was very easy for me to get there. But once I get there, I'm like, oh, there are mistakes. And I don't have the patience to dig through it and figure it out.
Yeah, that's something that in the classroom, we really haven't had the opportunity to work with a lot because, we have this limited time frame. I have you, for about an hour, just a little over an hour. And I really want to cram as much learning into that hour as I possibly can. So I don't let you struggle enough with the code to like really build that patience and perseverance and self-reliance. So I'm glad that we had this opportunity. Does anyone else want to talk about their experience with this project?
Is this the Chapter 6 thing with all the curly brackets and stuff?
Yes.
Okay, I remember that. I was a little confused on it a few times, but I figured it out.
Did anyone like have any epiphanies or something they were like, wow, I feel a lot better about this or that afterwards? No? Okay. Well, I'm being very lenient when I grade this project because this project was difficult. I was over 400 lines of code. And I do hope that you did gain something about form validation and your experience with that validation, but also working on building these other skills that, you know, you get these skills as you continue to practice with coding and programming. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about what we have to do this week, and some of y'all have already found that. So this week we're doing things very similar to week 1. So I have created like a validate form, a little form project where you do the username, the email address, and the password. And this is a different type of validation. It's just a different way for us to look at all of the options we have as programmers. Certainly the book project was much more complicated, and it did offer some great techniques, especially with the try, throw, and catch. But I really felt like we needed to break it down a little smaller so that we could look at really what we're trying to do behind the scenes here. So you have 6 video tutorials. Are you finding those helpful? Has anyone experienced any problems with those?
They're good.
Okay.
I like them better than
Yeah, yeah. This is probably more like our regular classroom than, you know, any other experience.
And
So,
we can
yeah.
rewind the lecture if we need it.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Braden?
And we can rewind it if we need it.
Right. And they're so useful, like when you're taking your quizzes and your tests. So I get it. It just takes me like a really long time. Like, you know, this took me like about 2 weeks to complete from start to finish. So that's why I can't get enough out every week, but I'll keep trying. We'll keep trucking along. Some important things that I wanted you to notice about the Validate Form quiz for today. That is a 1 attempt quiz. So take your time with that. There's some little kind of short answer questions at the end. It is better to over-explain than to under-explain with those. You also will need that ASCII codes PDF for the quiz because there's some information, or there's some questions about the char code on that quiz. Feel free to look on the internet, feel free to look in your book, whatever, to help you complete this quiz, okay? Is anyone having any issues submitting forms? Like, were you able to, well, you may not have done it yet, but if you do have any issues with your submission area, feel free to email me. Now, when we have just one file, like we did with this project, everything was in an HTML file, that's all you need to submit. But when we have a folder that has CSS files, JavaScript files, photographs, or whatever, like there's multiple files, you'll need to zip or compress that folder before you submit. And if you need trouble, or if you have trouble doing that, you can look on the internet or email me specifically, and I'll kind of walk you through it, because it depends on if you're a PC or a Mac user. But usually you can just right click. On a PC, you have to go to, I think it's like share maybe, and then you can compress or zip. But if you need more help, just email me there. Okay, so starting Thursday, and we have a short week. We have a 4-day week this week and next week because of the holiday weekend. But starting Thursday, we'll begin our form project. So these are the guidelines for the form project. I want you to create a well-designed form of your choice. I want you to use HTML and CSS. You may choose to use your existing website from last semester and then just add an additional page to it that contains the form. And then you can do things like, depending on what type of website that you did, you could have like emailing a contact list, or maybe it's an order form, or maybe it's a survey of some kind. You have lots of options there. Your form has to contain at least 4 different types of controls. And then I gave you that control example PDF that we had in chapter 9 of HTML last year. So you need at least 4 different types. So you couldn't just put 4 text boxes. That would not meet the criteria. You couldn't put 4 radio buttons. That wouldn't meet the criteria. You need 4 different types.
So like those checkbox things, those circle buttons,
Checkbox.
Done something like this before.
thing.
Let me show you real quick. I thought I had it. Oh, there it is. These are, y'all remember this from last semester?
Yes.
Oh,
So you have text box, scrolling text box, password box, checkbox, radio buttons. You have that selection list, a data list, a slider, a spinner, a calendar, and a color wheel. I would not recommend using the calendar. In next chapter, we're going to learn more about objects in JavaScript, and that would probably be, well, okay, let me take that back. If you want to learn more about the calendar before we get to that chapter, go ahead and try it. There's plenty of tutorials out there to help you with that. But there is a little more that you need to do for the calendar objects than you may be aware of quite yet.
Well, this project thing, it can be about anything, just as long as it has a form.
It needs a well-designed form with CSS, HTML and CSS. Okay, so create some JavaScript to validate your form. It's not simply enough to rely on your browser-based validation. This is your opportunity to share with me what you know about JavaScript. So the more JavaScript that I see, and the more that I see that you've tried to do things, even if you have not been successful, the more that I see that you have tried to do things, the higher your grade will be, okay? So use this opportunity to explore what you learned so far. Let me make this big again. If a well-designed, a great project, the best project should contain events. So consider how you could use different events. We have a load event, we have a click event, but what about the blur event that we learned, or the focus event that we learned? Could you incorporate those somehow in your form? Multiple functions. It would be great if you passed values between the functions. We did that in the validation project. Decision statements and loops. Okay, so decision statements could be a case statement. It could be if and if else, and then loops, while loops and for loops. Okay, you have until Friday of next week to work on this project. Do not wait till the last minute. Try to work on it a little bit every day, because I promise you it's going to take longer than you think it will. I thought I could whip out that form validation project that we did in the tutorials in an hour, and it took me several hours. So it kind of surprised me that I had to work on it so long. If at any time during this project that you need more assistance or you need more help, we can jump on a Zoom. We can Zoom one-to-one. So if you want me to look at your code or kind of help you think through this process, just please let me know, and we'll talk about it. We'll communicate. I can check your progress. I can, give you suggestions on what you can do for your project. Just remember, I'm here to help you. Okay. Do not overtly copy any of your previous projects, okay? Unless it's like your previous website project that you're adding a form to. What I'm saying is don't copy a block of code from chapter 6, or don't exactly do the thing that we did in this validate form where we did the passwords. I want you to really push yourself to try new techniques and things like that. Also, don't copy large blocks of the code from the internet. I will be able to tell specifically if you start using techniques that we have not learned about yet, unless I know that you're a person that normally does that. I kind of know where everyone's at in their coding ability. You know, I've worked with you guys for a whole year. I've seen your progress. So I kind of know where you are. I just want you to impress me, exceed my expectations. Show me what you learned so far. Okay?
Okay.
What questions do we have about that?
For when we ask for help, do we email you then Zoom or just?
Yeah,
keep
you'll
it-
have to email me first before we have a Zoom, because, you know, I'll have to schedule that and set it up. And I know I'm not, like, sometimes I'm working in the yard and things like that. So we'll definitely have to schedule a time for it.
Okay.
Okay. So next week, we'll have our Chapter 6 test. Study those previous quizzes. Consider those like your reading guide. That's kind of your practice to help you with your test. And then, of course, that form project will be due next Friday. I have one more project I'm going to try to show it or demonstrate with a tutorial. But if I find that it's taking too long, I may scrap that idea because I really want you to focus on your form project. So if we do have any work next week other than the test and the project, it would be a light amount of work, okay? All right, reminders. Our final grades are due May 6th. They're actually due May 7th, but I'm not waiting until the last day. Y'all know I don't like to wait till the last day. So I have to submit your final grade for this course May the 6th. That means we will probably have our finals earlier that week. I think that's a Wednesday, okay? So we have to finish everything that we need to do. All of your assignments need to be completed by then. That is less than a month away, okay? But how great is it that you get this one out of the way and then you can focus on your other stuff? Yay. Our attendance policy for Northwest, they sent me an email. You have to complete at least one assignment per week to be counted present for that week. If you do not complete one of those assignments, then I have to mark you absent for the whole week. And if you get 10 absences, you're dropped from the class, which would be reported as an F on your transcripts. You do not want that to happen, okay? So if you're having challenges, if there's something going on, please communicate with me so that we can make sure that you're not dropped from the course, okay? All right, I'm gonna question time, but I'm gonna turn, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Here we go. And now, this point, I will stop the
Recording.
video. So if you want to show your face again, that's fine. You won't be on YouTube. Okay, what questions do you guys have?
I still need help with my email. All
Okay.
good.
We'll stay on after everyone else leaves, Braden, and we'll work on that.
Okay.
Anybody else have questions?
I have one thing about the re-enter password
Uh-huh.
section is that I've created a function, but I don't know exactly what to do because I'm trying to do like if the re-enter password like does not equal the the password section, then like it displays an error, and then and then you do like the else thing, and then you do like the check mark, and everything works.
You're
So I'm
totally
having
on the right track.
trouble figuring out what exactly to.
Okay.
That's mainly it. So I just need some help trying to figure out what to put down for it.
Okay. Let me circle back to that, Brett, because I don't want you to give a whole bunch of people other ideas on how they can do it, because I want them to struggle through figuring that out on their own. Okay, so let's circle back in just a minute. Anybody else have questions? Natalie, you all good?
I'm good.
Okay. Haley, you all good?
Yes, ma'am, I'm good.
Okay. Quentin, you all right? Any questions?
Yes, ma'am. I'm okay.
Okay. Everybody else, I'm gonna have to ask you one-on-one. Okay, if you're all good, you can jump off the call. Braden and Brett are gonna stick around. I'm gonna help them. Okay, so if you're finished, unless you have any questions, you can end the call. And I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. I miss
All right.
y'all. I miss y'all so much. I forgot to demo this during our Zoom meeting, so I thought I would tack it on to the end here, but this is obviously not well designed. There's no CSS on this project, but this might be an idea for things that you could do with your form. Notice with the radio buttons down here, if you change the selection, it changes down here, and then you have to pick 2 side dishes. If you enter 1 and then 2, okay, so if you had some way to like validate that there were 2 that were entered there, just some ideas. If you have trouble coming up with an idea for your form project, please email me and I'll help you brainstorm. Okay, have a good day. Bye, guys.